Welcome to Home, Space and Reason, a podcast about creating a home that thrives.
Hi there, I'm Christina Browning, your host. If you know your home could be so much more than it is, I discuss home functionality, aesthetics, and automation. I'm a realtor in Portland, Oregon, and a home functionality coach. I geek out on every subject imaginable regarding your home and yard, challenging you to think of your space differently to get the most out of every square foot. I pose questions for you to think through about your space and your reason. This podcast is all positive, offering you virtual fist bumps and celebrating every win. Remember, there's no such thing as perfect, but you can still aim for your best every day. Join me on social media by searching for the handle Space and Reason. How wonderful yellow is. It stands for the sun, the artist Vincent Van Gogh once said. In fact, joy and happiness are the emotions that the color yellow represents for many people. In episode 101, titled Color in Your Home, I launched a series of episodes about specific colors. If you haven't listened yet to that one, I might start there. Followed by episode 102, Decorating with Blue, 104, Decorating with Green, and 106 is even a special video edition, Decorating with Red. In this episode, let's continue this fun and discuss decorating and accenting with the color yellow. Yellow is, in fact, very close to my own heart because it is the color of my front door. I obsessed for the longest time, 10 years ago now, about what color to paint my front door when we were building our home. Despite green being my favorite color, it just wasn't quite fun enough to be the face of our house. Happy and energetic, I landed on yellow because it seemed fun and welcoming. Running alongside that idea was the concept that there were many plant options with yellow blooms, and that would allow me to keep my landscaping design closely dialed into similar colors to keep the neat and tidy vibe that is important to me. When thinking about yellow for interiors, don't be intimidated by designing with this sunny shade. There are so many approaches to including yellow in your space, whether it's the star of the show or your way of adding a bit of personality to the space. Yellow is known as a primary color on the traditional color wheel and sits between orange and green. It is considered a warm hue along with red and orange. Shades of yellow range from orange yellows to green yellows. Tints of yellows created by mixing yellow with white consist of names like lemon chiffon and cream. Medium yellows are saturated and include sunshine and pineapple. Shades created mixing yellow with black veer into browns, include goldenrod, mustard, and one of my favorites, brass. Just the names evoke vivid pictures in your mind's eye. Pac-Man yellow, 1970s gold, primrose, golden yolk, harvest, lemon meringue, canary, yellow brick road, Tuscan sun, buttercup, or mustard. It can quickly grab attention, but it can also be abrasive when overused. It can appear warm and bright, yet it can also lead to visual fatigue. Ochre is a natural clay earth pigment, a mixture of ferric oxide and varying amounts of clay and sand. It's opulent, but not pretentious. It is rich and most beautiful when paired with jewel tones or navy. When we think of yellow as it pertains to the color wheel, its most complementary color opposite on the wheel is purple, which is why designers love jewel tones paired with it. One Kings Lane says, quote, "During the past few years, an unexpected color has gradually become more prominent in the interiors world. At first, it appeared subtly in fabrics and wall coverings. Now you can find it on furniture, in rugs and art, and on all manner of accessories. Designers and design lovers call it many names: mustard, yellow, turmeric, ochre, marigold, whatever you call it, people are excited about it." End quote. Now let's think about the psychology of this color. Yellow is very complex. Verywellmind.com reports that not everyone responds to this color in the same way. It says, quote, "I like yellow. To me, it's a happy color associated with flowers and sunshine, but our kitchen is painted yellow, and I find that my fiancé, who has a short temper, almost always loses it in the kitchen. He also becomes much more impatient and argumentative," another reader reported. "I have always suspected that it's the color of the walls. Guests also tend to eat their food faster at the kitchen table than when we entertain in the dining room, which is white, or outside," they continued. I'll link the article in full in the show notes. As I mentioned before in a few other episodes I did on decorating with specific colors, did you know that there are people who can hear color? People who have synesthesia can often see music as colors when they hear it, and taste textures like round or pointy when they eat foods. Isn't that fascinating? According to the website soundslikenoise.org, which I'll link in the show notes, quote, "The sound of yellow is the sound of lightness, of pulsating energy. It is a sound that lifts but does not embrace. I listen to the sound of yellow and am moved by its luminosity. Its tone is to be admired from a distance." End quote. For people who can hear colors, yellow sounds like According to an article in Veranda magazine, "How to Decorate with Yellow the Right Way According to Designers" by Katie Sprate Joyce, she suggests that, quote, "we consider geography during your planning session. When choosing yellows, pay some mind to geography," Cutler explains. "The quality of light in various areas can affect how a color, particularly yellow, looks. I'm based in Southern California, where the light is very clear and white. So stronger, deeper yellows are great, as the natural light will soften them, even wash it out a bit. In the Southwest, warmer earth tones evoke the desert surroundings, and in the Southeast, bright, almost daisy yellow will bring a more tropical vibe." End quote. Cutler adds that yellow can be a great tool for lightening up a darker room. He says using light yellow in a room that is challenged with not enough natural light can fool the eye into thinking that the sun is streaming in. To achieve the sunshine effect, make sure to swatch plenty of yellow paint colors to pick the best one for your home's geography and light. End quote. You can reference this article in full by clicking the link in the show notes. If we think about yellow historically, lead tin yellow was the yellow of the day for artists such as Rembrandt and Vermeer. The Dutch popularized this yellow in the 17th century. It's a bright yellow with good covering power and light fastness, but as the name suggests, it's very toxic due to its lead component, and Naples yellow became the more commonly used yellow. Mustard was also the flagship color of the 1960s in America. When we feel into using yellow in decorating, I introduce color cards that I use when I do home functionality coaching with clients, which helps them to see what shades or hues of yellow can be paired with versions of color they may not think about in our heads. The color cards introduce moods and focus more on how colors make us feel. And I love that clients choose a feeling rather than standing in the paint store picking colors and then hoping what they chose creates a feeling that they would even want. The latter is more of a roll of the dice. When I Google the term yellow appliances, there are some to choose from. And although I love a colorful appliance in the right setting, when incorporating yellow in a typical home, I much prefer using gold accent knobs and handles, adding a bit of depth and sophistication. A white oven with gold knobs adds the intention and subtle beauty of yellow. Pair olive green with gold. Don't get me started. I love that combination so much. I love my yellow teapot that sits boastfully on top of my stove. It's the only thing that ties the inside of my home to the outside front door, and I passionately love that yellow teapot. Who do you know that might enjoy an intellectual and positive podcast all about homes and the act of living in them to their best and highest potential? Let them know by sending them a link to this podcast. I appreciate you spreading the word, my friend. Even if you aren't on Pinterest very often, do me a favor. Go into Pinterest and do a search for yellow interiors, and then feast your eyes on the results. Everything from yellow bedspread covers to ornate painting on the walls, from wallpaper to a wainscoting stripe. There are some delicious examples here of yellow used in the most wonderful way. Lulu and Georgia have some wallpaper that's titled Persimmon Birds Wallpaper, and it's very neutral except for the yellow persimmons and the olive green birds on the branches, and it is so exquisitely beautiful and understated, but this is a lovely example of how you can use yellow quietly. And now for the questions to ask yourself about your home space and your reason. Grab a pen, some scrap paper. Question number 1. Am I turned off by yellow? If not, question number 2. Do I wish my home felt more fun or had more personality? If you can answer yes to that, maybe adding some yellow is for you. Something as simple as having solid yellow bed sheets that peek out from under a conservative bedspread is an easy place to start. That's not that scary, right? You don't have to go big or go home. I would suggest that if the idea interests you, simply start by paying attention to where yellow lives in spaces out in the world that speak to you. What version of yellow is it that you're attracted to, and how is it used? Notice your self-talk. Keep it positive. What am I grateful for today? If you haven't listened to this podcast from the beginning, you might want to, because there's just too many good episodes to miss. I do my best to keep them as evergreen as possible so they always feel relevant. And after all, these episodes are all about you, your space, and your reason. We were recently out at our cabin in the San Juan Islands, and because the tide was low, we couldn't come back until later in the evening, which put us way north, unable to make the trek all the way south with my mom late at night. So we got an Airbnb up there at a little lake called Lake 16. I shot some video of the interior of that space as well as the exterior because you know I love a good home tour and I wanted to share it with you. I'm not even sure there's any lessons to be had in it. I just love going through a different, beautiful home. If I could do that every single day for the rest of my life, dude, I would. It's videos like this that I share with you in my weekly newsletter called Little Bits of Home Functionality. It comes just once a week and is intentionally short because I don't like my inbox filled up with stuff that I don't want to see. It's a place I share videos like this and bits of inspiration that I find. Subscribe with the link in the show notes. If you have an Amazon Echo, you can say, play the Space and Reason podcast by Apple and easily listen on any Echo or Dot. One of my favorite things to do is listen to podcasts when I'm weeding in my flower beds. Recently, my most favorite one is Wiser Than Me by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Each week, she has funny, touching, personal conversations with iconic older women who are brimming with the kind of unapologetic attitude and wisdom that only comes with age. It is hilarious, but a heads up, it is not kid-friendly. When you buy a home with a realtor who is also a home functionality coach, you get the added value of an expert to think through how the space can be used to its best and highest potential, specific to the needs, passions, and values of your family. If you're thinking of buying or selling, call me. I have dual expertise. I can also list a home and stage it to make sense out of odd spaces so you get the most out of your investment. If you happen to know someone in the market in the greater metro Portland, Oregon area, kindly send them my way. The finest compliment I could receive is the confidence of your referral. Reach out to me by getting on my calendar using the easy link in the show notes or visit my website, spaceandreason.com. Don't forget to subscribe to this show if you dig it. New episodes are automatically queued for you when you subscribe, and it's one less thing you need to go search for, reducing your mental load. Thanks, friend, for sitting in on this conversation about creating a home that thrives. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for letting other people know about it, and I'll meet you back here for the next episode.